Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.
My friends and I always tune into the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Todd is entertaining, informative, and always delivers the goods.
Todd might not tell you what you want to hear, but he's going to tell you what you need to hear. And all you got to do is listen.
Hold on, Todd. Don't let go. It's time for the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Welcome to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Good morning, good evening, and good night. I'm yours truly, Attorney Todd L. Levitt, broadcasting and podcasting in the Black Diamond Group Mother-Ship in the middle of the mitten in a beautiful green, soaked, moist, nutrient field, folks, with my good friend, Craig Russell, the muscle, the hustle. Don't call me Mando. Yes, I am the gas man. Dink, 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 dink. America's favorite nug. You know him. You love him. He's Little John's best friend and sponsor. The water's wet. The ground is wet. This does not rhyme, and we love you, Craig Russell. How you doing, Craig?
I am fan-flippin-tastic. How are you, Todd?
Well,
oh, my God.
I know. I'm turning it and burning it. We destroyed it with Seven Dust Waffle. I love Seven Dust, one of the most underrated groups of the last couple decades. Seven Dust. Saw them just destroy it at the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort outdoor concert about 5-6 years ago.
Aren't they coming back? Don't they? They play there like every year, don't they?
Love Seven Dust. I think they do, actually. I got to go see
They
those
play a
guys
lot.
again.
They play there a lot, but... so how are you, Todd? How's life treating you?
Happy Father's Day to you, Craig Russell, the muscle, the hustle.
As you as well.
All the fathers out there.
That's right. Even you father mothers. We say Happy Father's Day to you as well.
By popular demand and conversation, we have a huge show today. Part one of a two-part show episode there, Craig Russell. And the Nick, attorney Mike Nichols, and hopefully his wife, Wendy Nichols of Nichols Law Firm out of East Lansing, Michigan, the whole state of Michigan, will be joining us here momentarily.
And basically anything you ever wanted to know about anything, Mike Nichols will be able to answer. We set him up pretty well.
Off the island, right?
He knows how come they didn't get off the island. He can also, you name it, he knows the answer to it.
Yeah. I can't wait to have Mike Nichols on the show here in a moment. But Craig,
Tom,
happy Father's Day to you.
Happy Father's Day to you as well, my friend.
It's a busy weekend. It's been a real busy weekend. Yesterday, Jack, my godson, had his birthday. So happy birthday to Jack.
All right. Happy birthday, buddy. Yeah.
Got to see the whole family. Everybody was at G-Money's wedding a week prior, but it's always good to be with the familia. Got to see Anthony, my cousin Anthony, AZ, and Jack, so that was a lot of fun. The Lumberjack 100 took place yesterday in Wellston, Michigan. I was not part of it because I had that endo a couple weeks ago. My new nickname is Crash.
That's correct.
So I trained all year for the Lumberjack 100. Couldn't even participate.
That was one of my favorite parts of the show last week is when Lil Jon called you Crash. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
not gonna lie.
That told me he listens to the show.
That's right. Well, of course he does. He pays attention. He's the man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, he knows. He knows. Yeah, it has been a busy weekend. What are you doing? Anything special for Father's Day today? Are your kids just staying out of your way, or what are they doing?
No, I'm going to be with all of the kids, all
good.
of my first, second, and mini born. So we're definitely going to be hanging out today, this afternoon, and evening. But Craig, I have a paper cut.
You have a paper cut?
I have a paper cut, which leads me to the song that I really wanted to play on the show today.
I gotcha. Paper cut by Linkin Park.
Something in here's not right today. Why am I so uptight today? Paranoia is all I got left. I don't know what stressed me first and how the pressure was fed. But I know just what it feels like to have a voice in the back of my head. Like a face that I hold inside. Face that awakes when I close my eyes. Face that I watch every time I lie. Face that laughs every time I'm breathing. So I know that when it's time to sink or swim, the face inside is hearing me right underneath my skin. It's like a paranoid looking over my back. It's like a whirlwind inside of my head. It's like I can't stop what I'm feeling within. It's like the face inside is right beneath my skin. I know I've got a face in me. Points out all my mistakes.
Well, that Linkin Park knows what they're doing there. That was a pretty bad paper cut you got, wasn't it?
Yeah, and each and every week we on the show we play different types of music, different genres.
Yeah.
But truly, Craig and folks, my go-to group on a daily basis is Linkin Park. I am not making that up. They have to be the top of my playlist. Every album, every song. When Chester left us, it was just devastating to so many people, including his family. But Linkin Park is my go-to everything. It just gets me going, day and night.
And, of course, he had an unfortunate tie-in with the state of Michigan as well, where, of course, we're doing the show from. You can hear the show on podcasts all across the country and all across the world. But I'm surprised they don't ever have like a limited edition, like Linkin Park channel, like on satellite radio or something like that. I think you would love that.
Oh, they do. I mean, or on YouTube, Spotify.
Oh, on YouTube,
On
YouTube,
Spotify, you can create your own channel.
Yep, there you go. YouTube and Spotify, sure.
Yeah. Hey, Craig, let's not waste any more time. I mean, we've got a distinguished, honorable guest on the show. And truly, folks, as an attorney Mike Nichols is, talk about go-to individuals. As an attorney myself of almost 30 years, I rely heavily upon the advice and guidance of Mike Nichols. He's an author of a number of books that us attorneys utilize, us defense attorneys, in the everyday practice of law. I consider him a very close friend and colleague. So let's just bring the legend on the show, Craig.
And he's super knowledgeable, and I don't think he knows he's on the show yet. You know you're there, Mike?
I just want to know who back introed the theme song.
Who back introed the theme song? Who is that? Isn't that Vinny? Vinny Kate?
I want to say too, Craig, my first 10 years of my career I spent in broadcast journalism, and I learned how to back intro a song with the best of them working in AM radio.
Oh yeah.
So there's a little fun fact. And then I want to give you props because when you guys got me on to do a test, we had the same problem with the audio that we've had the last 4 times I've been on the program, and you were so patient. You were so patient. That was
okay.
Great.
No.
Mike, you sound freaking fantastic.
Yeah, no
and you have a Yeti mic on the way, so
the Yeti mic's coming. Hopefully,
by the time we do part 2, hopefully the Yeti mic will be there. So,
yes.
So can you back time to the top of the hour to hit the ABC News at the top of the hour there, Mike Nichols? Can you?
18 minutes past the hour, 42 minutes before the top of the hour. It's 71 degrees and awesome in mid-Michigan.
Wow. Listen to him. He's smooth as silk, man. My job's in jeopardy.
It's 6 o'clock. It's time to rock, and we'll rock nonstop till 7 o'clock. It won't stop.
So 1950, Todd decided to make
That's true. Yes, my fake radio voice Todd is here. So
yeah, this is my fake radio voice. People meet me in person and they go, "Wait a minute, you don't sound like that. You sound completely different on the radio."
Yeah, everybody does.
Hey, Mike, big day today. Happy Father's Day to you, buddy.
Yes, happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day. If you're listening on Father's Day, if you're not, happy Father's Day yesterday or 2 days ago.
And to celebrate Father's Day, we have a very special strain of the week, and we have again my go-to attorney friend for everything, even my horoscope, attorney Mike Nichols. Mike, what is the strain of the week, by the way?
Craig's stinky something.
Well, there is.
I am the gas man. So
hold on. Let me look at the text thread we had going.
Here's the gas man.
I am the gas man. So there's that. But
we almost used what did we use? I can't recall that. Something to do with breath a couple weeks ago, Craig.
Yeah, no. This is something completely different. If I actually looked at the show notes before we got on and started doing this.
I got it.
Okay.
Craig Hippie Chicken.
There we go.
Craig Hippie Chicken, folks. That's right. Is the strain of the week. Coming in, by the way, 21% THC.
Nice.
A mostly sativa strain with a very strong euphoric effect. And it's a cross between blueberry and Alaskan Thunder. I'm just going to leave it there, folks. It's a cross between blueberry and Alaskan Thunder blank. There you go.
Alaskan Thunder.
Yeah.
What would Alaskan Thunder be? What's that all about?
Well, I'm leaving out one word that is completely inappropriate for the FCC.
Totally understand.
And families listening to the show.
How about this? Alaskan Thunder will make your teeth shatter.
Yeah, pretty much. Because it's Alaska, right?
Yeah.
So, attorney Mike Nichols, out of East Lansing, Michigan. Your wife, Wendy Nichols, is also an attorney practicing there. For those just tuning in for the very first time on planet Earth, third rock from the sun, Mr. Nichols, tell us a little bit about your law firm, what type of law you practice. There are other lawyers there. And how can people get a hold of you?
So the Nichols Law Firm is a litigation firm, and I do, as many people know, OWY defense. That includes the consumption of alcohol or marijuana and or other controlled substances. Wendy, who's my boss and partner and wife, who's about 10 feet away, but doesn't want to come on the show. Wendy does personal, not yet. You gotta maybe another glass of wine. Wendy does personal injury, and she does some domestic relations, also known as divorce and family. And she'll do some criminal stuff that just is a fit. And then we have 4 other lawyers, and some of them do criminal law, some of them do criminal and family law. A couple of them do just personal injury, but anything and, anything, well, within that bandwidth. We're not going to do a bankruptcy.
Sure. And so East Lansing, Michigan, albeit your firm does practice across the entire state of Michigan. I refer cases to you, Mike, and I so much appreciate just the due diligence, professionalism, the results, attention to details, and customer service that you and your staff provides to those type of cases. Because I get so many calls in my office. We talk about this week in and week out. I would get a lot of calls, but I don't handle those type of cases, so I just refer them to you. So,
well, I appreciate that, and it's difficult to say this, but when you get to as you progress in your career as a lawyer, I mean, really, you should be charging more because you got to keep your case list to a manageable level where you can do what you need to do, right? So, unfortunately, that's just the way it is at this point in my career, for good or for ill.
Yeah. Yep. So, a couple things before we get started, Craig Russell, the muscle, the hustle. It is Father's Day, depending upon when you're listening to the show on podcast or on 98.5 WUPS. Last week, though, guys, we spent some time in God's country, the great state of Superior, otherwise known as Michigan's Upper Peninsula.
Yes.
Bug update. The mosquitoes are just destroying everyone everywhere along the coast. And I was there a week and a half ago, and now I went back. Black flies, gnats everywhere along the shoreline unless the wind is blowing. But on the way up, and this was on a Wednesday last week, we were on the way up. We get past Sheboygan on I-75 heading north. We get to that sign where it says 14 miles, Mackinac City, Mackinac Bridge.
Right.
And about 7 miles south of there, there's a sign that says 1-lane road ahead. Everything's going to merge down to 1 lane. Ooh. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, great, not a problem. And traffic's moving pretty good clip. About a mile up, everything just comes to a complete stop. And, I mean, literally, Craig, I'm going about 2 miles an hour. I could see the bridge. I could see the span of the bridge on the horizon. I'm thinking, okay, this isn't too bad. I'll just, things will move along. This is one of those days when it was like 100 degrees out, humidity 120. But we have air conditioning. As it turns out, there was and is construction on I-75 in both directions, and so they detour you through Mackinac City. So you can just imagine the crawl, just crawling and looking at the bridge, knowing that you're not going over it at least for another hour or an hour and a half from where I was at. So, but my complaint of the week is to that one driver who, for whatever reason, cannot read and just zooms up the left lane, while everybody else is in the right side to get right to the front and expects to get let in. So we all know who that is. We've been there. We've seen that driver. And nothing annoys and irks me more than that person who just thinks for whatever reason they can be that guy.
Have you heard of the zipper method, Mike and or Todd?
I just think that the flow of traffic in Todd's story and the flow of the podcast both came to a screeching halt at about the same time in a parallel universe. I'm just
he knows. He knows. Oh, man.
Tangent alert.
Well, that's what I was thinking. It's been a long time since Todd's lived in the city. You can tell he lives in the sticks
right?
now because, an hour car traffic, car backup. You live around Detroit or around any metropolitan area, that's nothing, especially in the summertime. Come on, man.
But that's one of the beautiful things about living in the sticks is no traffic.
Yeah, you don't have to deal with that. You don't have to deal with that at all. But
look, I grew up off of, I lived in Detroit.
Yeah.
And then I moved over across 8 Mile off of Coolidge. Went to Berkeley High. I talk about it every week. Practiced law for 12 years in Metro Detroit. I know everything about traffic. But anyhow, we have a huge show, Craig. Mike Nichols, attorney at law, is in the house. Hopefully Wendy will join us shortly. But Mike, we want to talk to you about one of the areas that you specialize in, and that would be chemical testing. Once somebody is placed under arrest and they are either taken to the hospital by consent or warrant, or to a sheriff's department for a breath test. I want to talk about the data master and some of the tools and techniques in your wheelhouse on how to represent individuals and get those cases nollied.
Well, we will do that, but first we should probably take a break on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, and we also have some questions to ask Mike about some other stuff too. But so keep that, hold that thought,
like
Mike. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, turning it and burning it. Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there listening to the show and to all the mothers out there who have to stand in for the fathers that are non-existent. I had one of those fathers, so full disclosure here, raised by a single mother, so I was one of those guys. My mother was both a mother and a father to us. She did the best she could. She's a great lady, and we appreciate her. So happy Father's Day to my mother for always being there for both a mother and a father. And there's a lot of fathers out there who have to fill the void for mothers that are not there. But on a positive note, Mike Nichols is in the studio. Mike, before the break, we were talking about traffic issues, but also one of the many areas that you specialize in. And what would that be, Craig?
That would be specializes in making sure about chemicals and chemical testing.
Data masters.
Yeah, exactly that. Talk a little bit about that.
Take us through a scenario, Mike, on how, so obviously you represent as, individuals as I do, but talk a little bit about that specialized area and what it is you do better than anybody. And I'm raising my hand because you do this better than any attorney out there.
Well, challenging the data master can get so boring. I'll be frank, gentlemen. It can get really boring because it's chemistry, right? And it's a little bit of biology. But the bottom line is the trick for the lawyer, and you and I have talked about this, Todd, what's the trick? What's the secret? And it's just hard work. Dig into all of the records that you can get your hands on about the history of that instrument, both recently, before, and after. Look at the video of your client during the observation period. And don't let me forget to talk about that, Todd. And look at your client as your client is delivering the sample of breath into that instrument that's supposed to use remember the concept of infrared light and infrared spectrometry? That's what the data master relies upon based on a series of assumptions about what's being delivered from the person to convert that from your breath to a bodily alcohol content at a piece of ticket.
And we're talking about when an individual is placed under arrest for potentially drinking, driving with alcohol or controlled substances, or a legal substance that they had a right to possess, operating with the presence of a controlled substance. But typically exactly. What we are talking about today is operating while intoxicated regarding alcohol. Is that correct, Mike?
That's absolutely right. Yep. And
all right.
Good point, because the post-arrest chemical test is the one that so many people ask about. Do I have to say yes? What should I do? There are two opportunities for the officer to give you a breath test. The first is before the arrest decision, where the officer uses a handheld. It's called a PBT. That situation, I don't know that there's any reason to take that handheld test before you're arrested. Post-arrest, that's where you sit in a chair or stand up and you blow into a box on a desk. That's called the data master. And that's where if you don't agree to take the test, your license is going to be suspended, potentially, for a year.
Implied consent.
Implied consent, yep. So you get those questions a lot, right?
All the time.
Yeah. All right, so what do you want to go from here on breath testing?
So an individual is placed under arrest. The officer has the option, decides not to go to the hospital for a blood draw, yet the option is to take the individual under arrest to the sheriff's department, or he or she will then be required to blow into the device. Can you talk a little bit about what the device looks like for the layperson out there and about the waiting period?
The device looks like a typewriter or a computer, and that's really what it is. It's a computer. And the observation period is important because the officer has to verify that the person who's about to give the sample, the arrestee, the person suspected of drunk driving by alcohol, hasn't belched, burped, regurgitated, smoked, chewed anything, put anything in his or her mouth. And what's important about that is something from your mouth can come, this may sound a little gross, but it can come from both ends. Either you put something in your mouth or you bring it up via stomach gas.
Ugh.
Yeah. And so
I told you. I warned you, gentlemen.
You were right. You were right.
The individual under arrest blows into the device. There's a waiting period. That individual blows again, and it registers a certain blood alcohol content. So take us through, Mike, how it is as a defense attorney, or what it is you are looking for. What is the argument? If somebody blows, let's say the legal limit in Michigan, 21 and over, 0.08. What if somebody blows a 0.17? Are you going about it the same way as opposed to someone blowing a 0.10?
In some ways, yes, and in some ways, no. I know that's a law school answer, but
I get that. It's a good answer.
And as you know, Todd, every case is different.
Correct.
And, maybe you don't care about what that number is. It might be a 0.29, but who cares if the person consumed most, if not all, of the alcohol after driving, right?
Correct. So what you're saying is, if somebody consumed alcohol after they were driving, are you implying that there was an accident or they put the vehicle in a ditch, the officer arrives sometime thereafter, and the person claims they consumed alcohol after they got out from behind the wheel of a motor vehicle?
Or maybe the person, let's say, ran out of gas, managed to get their car completely off the road and out of, so to speak, harm's way, couldn't get a hold of whoever was going to come rescue them with some fuel, roadside assistance, as it were, and they saw a party store 200 yards away, walked back to the car, and drank while they were waiting for some assistance.
Exactly. And that argument indicates, Craig, that how could the prosecutor prove that at the time the individual operated the motor vehicle, that one, they consumed alcohol prior to that, and two, that their blood alcohol at the time they operated the motor vehicle was a 0.08 or higher, unless they were under 21, and which was zero tolerance. If the person consumed alcohol potentially after they were already out of the vehicle and it wasn't running, then they were never operating the vehicle to begin with any blood alcohol content. Would that be correct, Mr. Nichols?
Absolutely correct, counsel. And so you asked me to talk about how to challenge the data master. And,
correct.
And I know right now you're regretting, because here comes the science and here comes people, their eyes are glazing over. I'm going to pace a little bit.
We want to know.
I'm going to pace a little bit, because when I'm talking to juries or to judges, or I'm teaching in a lecture at continuing legal education, I'll be in Minnesota this coming week. I like to pace. I like to walk. I like to, show some animation. You can't see it on the radio, but just picture in your mind's eye Todd doing
little hippie chicken.
Lake.
Doesn't hurt.
Yep.
Very
Todd's
uplifting.
Todd's taking a little hippie chicken, and he's doing Swan Lake. All right,
so river dance, more like the Irish.
Really? Okay. I can't unsee that. So the breath test device, it's part computer, part microwave oven, part chemistry test, and it assumes that most everyone has the same what we call partition ratio. That means that when you distribute blood throughout your body, the ratio of what's in your blood to your breath in your alveoli region of your body, that's the lower lungs basically, that's the same, because really what we're doing with a breath test is we're converting what might be in somebody's breath from their deep lung region and converting it to a bodily alcohol content. And I know that's really boring, but that's assumption number one, is everybody is the same when it comes to that breath to blood ratio. And that is simply not the case based on other scientific research. And I'm sorry to bore the crap out of you on Father's Day.
No, not at all.
No,
okay,
not at
so
all. No.
I mean, Craig, how are we doing on time?
We still have some time to go. That's fine.
So my question is, with that being said, Attorney Mike Nichols, Nichols Law, East Lansing, Michigan. Little shameless plug there, well deserved. With that being said, your client, one of my clients, blows into the device twice. As an attorney, we get the results. What are you now doing as a defense attorney?
I'm getting all of the data for that instrument, as much as I can get from the moment it was put into service, from the plant right where it left in St. Louis, Missouri, that's where the data master is made, to the Michigan State Police headquarters, to when it was put in service in, let's say XYZ Police Department in Isabella County. And I want to see everything that it's done from day one through, as many days after it tested my client, my hero, because it is an instrument and every instrument is infallible. So I want.
And what are you looking for? I mean, there's a multitude of things you are looking for, but just for the sake of the show, what are you looking for?
Well, you're looking for, number one, instrument bias. Does it report one number more and appreciably more than any other numbers? You want to look for error codes. Were there error codes generated at a disproportionate rate and in a disproportionate manner? In other words, did it give me an error or a breath flow signal more frequently than, say, a radio frequency interference signal? All of that is important. And then you want to see if there have been problems when the instrument was, the calibration was checked and when the instrument was maintained as it's required to be maintained under Michigan's administrative code. So you're looking for anything you can get your hands on for potential bias in the data master.
Any little bit of idiosyncrasy, any little bit of, hey, 3 times in a row it blew the same number with 3 different people. That's an oddity. Any kind of abnormality like that is something you can take advantage of, correct?
And the other thing too, Craig, that's correct for starters, but you're also looking to see, is there anything when this instrument was serviced that was a recurring issue? Did it continue to test out of range during an accuracy check on a weekly basis? That kind of thing. But ultimately, guys, right? Even the most perfectly working piece of instrumentation can fail, and not just a quantitative error. In other words, it over-reported somebody's breath alcohol content, but maybe the person kept saying, I have not been drinking, I have not been drinking at all. And it shows the person was drinking, but it's a completely false positive, which means qualitatively it was completely wrong.
And is it also possible that the person administering the test maybe made some kind of mistake? Because humans make mistakes all the time. We are not fallible, much like the computers and the instruments aren't fallible either. They're all fallible.
Right. In other words, if you see on your client's video, all right, 6 times my client either put his or her fingers in their mouth or belched. They made what was an unmistakable, belching kind of gesticulation or reflex. And the officer just wasn't paying attention. And it's clear maybe stomach gases came up into that breath sample and made it a higher reading than what the true value of the person's bodily alcohol content was.
See, this is where you're earning your money, right? This is where you're charging whatever you're charging. This is you're making sure that your client has every advantage possible, because the law is going to try and make sure that they have every advantage as possible. This is where the rubber hits the road and Mike Nichols earns that paycheck.
There is no one better at this, folks, than attorney Mike Nichols. And as a defense attorney myself, I have relied upon, as have so many other defense attorneys, on Mike Nichols' leadership, expertise, guidance, and defense of our clients with such advocacy. Prosecutors, and Mike can also speak about this. Prosecutors, we have a lot of great friends that are prosecutors. Our Isabella County prosecutor does such a great job. Dave Barberi.
He's really a good person.
Yeah, one of the
good
best
person,
we've ever had.
Good person, good lawyer. Yep.
Yeah, no, nothing but love for Dave. He does such a great job. Great staff. I mean, Mike Main, Isabella County
Isabella
Sheriff.
County is really lucky to have Dave. There's no question about that.
No, absolutely. And his dad, Joe, used to be a prosecutor in the 80s, and he's such a good friend of ours. We love Joe Barberi. But great lawyer, great law firm. But, prosecutors, they have their own handbooks. They go to their own conferences where they listen to experts and specialists on how to properly prosecute a case. There's, a multitude of different elements from where they come from. Well, defense attorneys, we also listen to those individuals and read those legal books. And Mike Nichols is that person that we listen to. and we read what he writes. So to have you on the show right now, Nick, and you told me I'm the only individual in the history of Mike Nichols that calls you the Nick. Is that right?
And really, if that's what you got to hang your hat on, Todd, God bless you.
Nothing but love for the Nick, Mike Nichols. But no, I mean, the information that you provide is just unreal, and it's so important. Now, we can talk about this when we come back from break, Mike. But this information that you gather, my question to you, which I already know the answer to, but for the listeners, is this something that you present to a jury to create reasonable doubt? And so when we come back from break, let's talk about that.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show with Seven Dust, Todd, and our special guest, part one of 2 parts with attorney Mike Nichols from East Lansing, Michigan. Go Sparty. There you go. Even though Todd is a Go Blue guy.
I just want to know if Todd got the make and model of that car that did the maneuver south of Mackinac.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still teed off about that. Everybody's in the right-hand lane. We're all merged over. And here comes this car. I think it was a Prius. It might have been big here. It's that one individual who wants to go all the way to the front while everybody else is lined up for 2 miles back. But you know what happens? There are enough vehicles, and I would not recommend anybody do this. They see that vehicle coming a half a mile away, and there's a term for it. I don't know what it is, but they start to, push their vehicles more to the left so that person cannot pass by. Again, I'm not recommending anybody move your vehicle where there's another car coming at a high rate of speed, but I'm not letting that guy in, Mike. What about you, Craig? What do you guys say?
I have something to say, and it's, Todd, you need to make that car bigger and its proximity to you much closer. And then the story gets some legs.
Yeah, and then you need to hire Mike Nichols to take care of you when you get into an accident with him.
Hey, by the way,
one more thing I want to know. Can I just one more thing, gentlemen?
Yeah, ask whoever you want.
Ever since you did the complaint of the week, I've been thinking to myself, is that 14-mile marker where Bob Seger stopped just outside of Mackinac City to have a roof?
That is.
To do what? What did he do?
I don't think Todd got the reference.
I don't think he did either.
Is that one of his songs?
Shame on you.
Roll Me Away by Bob Seger. He says, stopped half an hour outside of Mackinac City for a beer. And
to have a brew.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Sat down next to that sweet lady, told her what I decided to do.
I mean, I'm okay with Bob Seger, guys, but
us old DJs know this stuff, No offense, Todd.
Yep.
The stories Bob that we could tell.
Heavy in the rotation at WQON.
That's right.
101 FM.
That's right.
How's the weather, Mike Nichols? What can we expect tonight? Can you please tell us?
Yes.
The stars are going to come out tonight. It's going to get cold, but not too cloudy. We'll have sun in the morning. Sunrise at 6:58. We'll have a perfect temp of 61 degrees. Get outside there and get a run.
If the law thing doesn't work out for you, I can get you a job in radio if you want. If you want to go back to making $12 an hour.
I miss radio. Oh man,
hey, Mike, when's Wendy coming on the show? By the way.
Yeah, when's your boss coming on?
She keeps walking by me with that look like, maybe I want to
come on. We have a theme song for Wendy. Can she come on? Attorney at law, Wendy Nichols.
She's pretending to have something else to do.
Oh,
Oh,
whatever.
man.
We'll get her. We'll rope her.
Yeah,
in.
we've
Part
got,
one,
we
part
still
two.
got, still got part 2 to go. Still has part 2.
She actually said to me, "I don't know if I want to do this without the Yeti mic. You didn't."
Oh,
get the
yeah.
Yeti mic
The
here on
Yeti mic
time,
is,
so-
chicks dig the Yeti mic. They
Chicks dig the Yeti mic.
chicks dig the
Craig,
long ball and chicks dig the Yeti mic. So, yes.
Not to deviate, but hippie chicken is a strain of the week, folks. And
That's right.
big shout out, by the way, no correlation here, to my good buddy Jamie Conley at Conley's Power Washing. I ran into the Conley family. They also own Conley's Diner in Farwell right there. So if you're heading north, heading west, or just in mid-Michigan, central Michigan, here's a family, trying to keep people working. They have a diner. It's called Conley's Diner. Great family. And if any of you out there need any kind of commercial or residential power washing, nobody better than my buddy Mr. Conley. Look him up in Farwell, Michigan.
Man, a couple of over easy eggs sound good right now. Thanks, Todd.
The
Conley's
diner
Diner
serves those, by the way.
also blue ribbon supportors of Farwell Eagle football.
Yes. That is correct.
And you're
Go
from
Eagles.
Higgins Lake, correct, Mike?
Yes, and went to Roscommon High School. Farwell, at least at the time, was in the Jack Pine Conference.
Oh, Jack Pine. Is Lake City in the Jack Pine Conference?
Not at press time. They were not. No.
Okay. Because I was up in Lake City District Court. The judge up there, the prosecutor, David.
Missaukee County.
The judge, she does such a great job up there. The whole staff, everybody, the prosecutor's office. Big shout out to the prosecutor's office up in Lake City. Elizabeth, David, Warren, everybody up there does a great job.
Yes.
Well, we are brow-nosing
Good
to the
office.
highest extent here on the show, aren't we?
Well, it doesn't hurt.
No, it can't hurt.
Yep.
All right,
Being nice costs you nothing.
Yep.
So
you catch more bees with honey, they say.
That's right.
Jen tells me that all the time.
That's right.
And that's what I love all the judges listening out there, because Todd, I know the judges all listen to your show. When you say no, it has the exact same offense or effect if you say it with a smile,
Right.
as opposed
right.
to if you say it with a big yell.
Right.
And when you say it with a
So-
smile, you use 8 less muscles. You keep your face more toned.
We're talking with one of my good friends.
$12 an hour, Craig.
Go-to attorney Mike Nichols, the Nick folks. And we just destroyed it with 7 Dust coming back from break to and from. Mike,
That's your back
once
intro?
you gather...
You
What's
missed
that?
the post. You missed the post, Todd.
He's trying. He's trying.
I'm trying.
He's trying.
I'm still, scratching all the mosquito bites, even though I was covered from head to toe with DEET and the proper clothing. Once you gather all this information regarding the data master, are you taking it before a jury?
And that's a great question, because how do you take the science and explain it to a jury? And number one, it's not objective. It's not black and white, but you just got to get a feel for what the jury is ready to understand and willing to understand. And it depends on your take on the jury, whether you just say, look, I don't know how this stuff works, but I just know, look at Mr. Hero here, Mr. Jones, the person on trial. He looks perfectly capable of driving a car, and yet this instrument says 0.16. I don't get it. Do they explain it to you? They've got the burden. Sometimes that's how you have to approach it. Sometimes, you feel like you can get into the science. And, I will say in East Lansing, we get a lot of jurors who are really smart, who you take organic chemistry, you take infrared spectrophotometry to them, and it's like, they will eat that right up. So
Explain where the infrared part of the data master comes into determining someone's blood alcohol.
It's like a paper towel with a liquid stain. Wendy says hi. We got that out of her, Todd.
Hi, Wendy.
How you
She's-
doing,
she's
Miss
putting
Nichols,
lettuce
Mrs. Nichols?
So it's like a paper towel absorbing liquid. The paper towel can't see the liquid. It can't tell what color the liquid. Maybe it's purple Gatorade or water or lemon lime sports drink. But it's the reaction when it gets inside the sample chamber, and infrared light is simply there to try to absorb the molecules that are coming through and determine whether or not it looks like ethanol or something else.
And my next question is, what's for lunch? That's what I want to know, Craig.
Couple of eggs over easy from the diner. That's right.
I'm just saying, I hear the dishes in the background. I'm wondering, I'm starving right now, and I'm losing weight. I'm so hungry. And
explain to me what the strain of the week is.
The strain of the week is hippie chicken.
Is that like it's like marijuana? Is that what that is?
Yeah, of course. It's cannabis. It's cannabis, yes. And by the way, Michigan attempting to outlaw fake urine. I'm not happy about that. And I'm not recommending anybody go out and do something that they're not supposed to against any type of law or employment contract or agreement. But it came out in the press last week, Mike and Craig, that Michigan was looking to pass a couple bills that would outlaw fake urine. And fake urine, so they say, and I don't have any knowledge of this, nor have I ever known any individual to ever utilize it. They say, whoever they are, that individuals who are going for a new job and they send them for a drug test, or truckers or other individuals out there for whatever reason can purchase these products, and it has creatinine in them and other chemicals, as if it's the individual's urine. It's warmed up at a certain temperature, apparently, according to the articles. Again, I have no knowledge about this stuff.
Well, it's not that it has not that it has chemicals in it, but it doesn't have other things in it.
Right, but here's my beef, Mike and Craig. Did you hear about this last week, guys?
I did. I didn't read the legislation. I try to read everything that gets proposed, but I did not read that bill. But I will say this, if all they're going after is the fake urine, there are so many other means by which people try to trick the system than fake urine.
But,
in other words, they're not even scratching the surface.
Correct, and that's how I feel. But from what I read, some of the intent behind it is so that employers aren't fooled and they are protected against individuals who smoke marijuana. Now, what upsets me the most is, instead of trying to ban something, how about change the laws so that employers cannot punish employees or potential future employees who happen to have THC in their systems and have every legal right to do so in the privacy of their own home. You can consume alcohol on the weekend, at night. You can go to work the next day. You can apply for a job. I mean, how many of those jobs will say, okay, look, if you went to a wedding last night and you drank alcohol, we're not going to give you the job. In fact, we're going to send you for a 12-panel drug screen or an ETG. You don't hear that. So, the fact that they're looking to outlaw fake urine to protect employers, how about protecting employees who have a legal right to do something, if not medically or recreational in most states? So it's completely backwards in my mind. And again, that's not the only intent of the legislation, but in my mind, that's what's fueling it. And I think they're approaching it from the wrong side. That's just my opinion.
Well, I mean, Todd, I'm with you to a large degree, but obviously the caveat in all of this philosophical discussion is, does the person work in a position where public safety is at risk when they're at work? Like, do they operate a bus or an airplane?
Right. I'm with you.
Yep.
I'm with you, but
caveat.
I'm with you 100%, and I knew that was coming because we're such close friends. I knew that was coming. We don't want anybody, obviously, to operate any equipment in any capacity, whether you have a legal right to do something or not. But my issue is, as a cannabis advocate to end reefer madness, is you can participate in Hippie Chicken, the strain of the week, a week ago, go for a job interview a week later, be sent for a drug screen, and something's going to show up in there that's going to prevent you from getting the job. That's what I have a problem with.
Todd, let me make just a very slight turn in this conversation.
Okay.
It's not political, but President Biden does have a lot of powers as the executive. I think he could issue an executive order that says all police officers, until further order of the Article 1 branch of the United States Constitution, all police officers may use THC as long as you're not high when you're at work. Because cops don't feel like they can use marijuana despite state laws that legalize it, because they don't want to fail a federally mandated urinalysis, because THC is still illegal for use in the United States. Believe it or not. I thought it was 2022. But a lot of cops, like, I'd like to try it or use it. It might, help me sleep when I get off shift at 6 a.m. But I can't. I don't want to fail that test, and I'll be humiliated and all that. So just
and talk
didn't
about
mean to
a
make
job with a
there.
high stress level, Mike. I mean,
oh my gosh,
we love law enforcement. We're defense attorneys, but we support law enforcement. I have a lot of friends that are troopers and deputies. Mike Main, our local sheriff, he does such a great job in Isabella County. So does Clare County, Roscommon, Midland. I mean, Grash. We can go on and on. In our East Lansing.
You just named 3 members of the Jack Pine Conference, by the way, in 1986.
He knows that
That's
now.
Great.
Gentlemen, we have to take a break on the Todd 11 Law
Craig,
Show.
we got part 1 with Mike Nichols
I know,
in the house.
part 1. Thank God we got part 2, because we got way more to talk about in the next part of the show.
And Wendy.
And Wendy, yes. We'll be right back.
Wendy, what went wrong? Oh, so wrong. We went together for so long. I never thought a guy could cry till you made it with another guy. Oh, Wendy left me alone. Hurt so bad. Wendy, don't lose your head, lose your head. Wendy, don't believe a word he said. I can't picture you with him. His future looks awful dim. Oh, Wendy left me alone.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Beach Boys Show, Sunday morning, Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to everyone out there. Craig Russell, the muscle, the hustle, the gas man, America's favorite nug. Don't call me Mando. In studio with the Nick. I'm the only one that calls him the Nick. Attorney at law, Michael Nichols from East Lansing, Michigan. Originally Higgins Lake. Big law firm. His wife, Wendy Nichols, is the boss, and she is also an attorney. They have 4 other attorneys. East Lansing, Michigan, statewide. Mike, give out your number.
517-432-9000, and my cell is 517-927-4734. Thank you, Todd, for a back intro that finally, I don't know, maybe might have gotten you on an AM gig for $11 an hour.
Maybe.
If that.
Internet radio.
But it was a back intro, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. But once again, give out your office number there, Mike.
517-432-9000.
Okay, great.
Because we couldn't get 517 Wendy. That was not available at the time.
So, Craig, why did we come back with Wendy?
Well, because the better half of Mr. Nichols, Wendy Nichols, is there. It sounds like she's making us lunch or doing dishes or something. And so we came back with Wendy from the Beach Boys. We have
few rules. In the Nichols household, we have very few rules, and one of those is we do not go to bed with dirty dishes in the kitchen. They will get cleaned.
Good rule. Good rule. Can we say hi? Will Wendy say hi?
So, Wendy, Todd and Craig want to know what you're doing for me for Father's Day. Is that top secret? Is that?
I don't know yet.
Wendy Nichols, everybody.
Wendy Nichols. There we go.
Hey, that'll work.
Oh, that's great.
She knows how
so,
to make that
Craig, you have a
microphone
number of questions
sing.
for the attorney special guest, Mike Nichols, there?
I do. We've got some questions. First place, Mr. Nichols, here are some of the biggest questions ever asked. Tell me, what is the meaning of life? Mike Nichols.
As you were saying that, Wendy said, I might have some yard work for you if you don't get off that taping thing, whatever that is.
That's the meaning of life. Yard work.
What is the meaning of life? Yes. And I know that was one of your many topics last weekend that you left as a holdover for this weekend, but alas,
Yes.
I don't wish.
What about
to
the theory of
remember
relativity? You know anything about the theory of relativity?
Oh, good Lord. Do you want the Einstein version? Do you want...
You're the expert here, man. You're the one who knows. You're the one who knows. Does Obi-Wan Kenobi, is there an Obi-2 Kenobi?
I'm not even... I hate Star Wars. I will say, I'm sure you just lost a lot of listeners, Todd. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
I will say...
we get paid the same. It doesn't matter.
I did do some prep for the show. I did review some of the keg laws because that was very heavy in last week's rotation.
That is correct.
Do you guys remember?
No, not really, but that's okay. You know,
or too much of the strain of the week.
That's what hippie chicken will do to you. Make you forget last week all around. I hate to do this to you, but part 1 is in the books. The show's over. We got to go.
We got to go. Mike, happy Father's Day. Mike, any last comments, shout-outs?
I just want to say, Craig, from one broadcaster to another, thank you for putting up with me and my technical deficiencies.
Oh, it's all good, man. We'll see you back for part 2. Remember, get that Yeti. Chicks dig the Yeti.
2 weeks.
It's
part 2 with Mr. Nichols.
It's apparently on an Amazon truck somewhere.
Well, there we go. Todd, we got to go. Show's over.
Mike, happy Father's Day. Craig, happy Father's Day. All the listeners out there, if you're not moving forward, you're getting left behind, we're not here for a long time. We are here for a good time. Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Nichols Law, East Lansing, Michigan. Take us out with a little waffle for breakfast. 7 Dust.
The Todd L. Levitt Law Show, brought to you by Chad Malley Well Drilling of Rosebush, Clark Modular Homes of Mount Pleasant, Ace of Diamonds of Mount Pleasant, Clear Vision Windows, Siding, and Roofing, now booking in Central and Northern Michigan, Rusty Gold Antiques in Everett, and attorney Todd L. Levitt.
Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.